More phone calls coming up. Greg McElroy, college football analyst for the Mothership and host of Always College Football podcast from ESPN and Omaha Productions. By the way, ABC Saturday Night Football, Georgia visiting Auburn, and Greg will be on the call with Sean McDonough and Molly McGrath. The Deep South's oldest rivalry, it's Georgia and Auburn. All right, where do you want to start? A good game or a bad game? I'll let you pick.
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, Dan. I'll let you direct it where you want to go, because the ugliest games are sometimes the prettiest in my eyes, because I'm a football junkie and a bit of a sicko. So I'll let you direct traffic, my friend.
All right. Should we be focusing on what UCLA did or what Penn State didn't do?
A little of both. I hate to do the cop-out answer there and straddle the fence, but UCLA was great. And I think their quarterback, you run into a hot quarterback in college football with talent, you're going to have some challenges, which means you got to go outscore them. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes your defense doesn't have their best stuff. But to me, this was not about effort. And I looked at Penn State, and a lot of people were saying, oh, well, they were flat. When I watched it, I was like, they weren't flat. They just weren't making plays. They were out-schemed. They gave up multiple third and longs to run game. Quarterback scramble in particular, which killed them. The 3rd and 15, the 3rd and 11, both converted with the quarterback scramble. 3rd and 7 leads to a 52-yard scramble. That was 3 just with the quarterback's legs and 1 with the running back's legs. So that was huge. The thing that was most troubling to me was a little bit how James Franklin handled the postgame, if I'm going to be completely honest. Just some of the excuses, travel issues. We lost guys last week. We lost guys during practice this week. Guys didn't have enough energy. And to me, that's going to fall on deaf ears, considering the week before Oregon travels 3 time zones and beat you in your house in a whiteout. So I guess I just don't understand why he took to the podium and went about it that way, as opposed to just taking ownership and saying, hey, we got to be better.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't want to hear these coaches complain about time zones. Lincoln Riley going to Illinois. This is what you signed up for. This is the Big Ten. This is Big Ten football, and that means you're going coast to coast. This is what your athletic director signed up for, so find a way to deal with it. I was hoping for a little more with Vandy and Alabama, the game you did. You look back on what happened last year, and I think we thought we would get a little more Diego Pavia magic there. Maybe Alabama is a really good team. How would you assess what you've seen so far?
I think they are very good. I think both teams, by the way, are very good. And if not for the strip of Diego Pavia going in, where it could have been 14-0, and now Alabama's now playing from behind, it very much changed the game. That was the biggest moment in the game, was that strip in the red zone and the fumble recovery for the Tide. I think Alabama, one thing in this game more than anything else, Dan, they showed the ability to weather the storm. They showed the ability to absorb the punch. And that was not something they did very well last year under Kalen DeBoer. They didn't do that very well against Florida State. They got punched early in this game, and they responded. So that, to me, is progress. They also made some adjustments defensively that I thought were really, really good. And that's not something they've done consistently at times in the last couple of years. They adjusted their alignment. They adjusted where the defensive backs and the linebackers were off the ball. That was helpful. So I really like Vanderbilt, by the way. Like, everyone looks at Vanderbilt, they look at the name, they look at the historical significance, and they will dismiss them automatically. Whereas we've seen with teams like Indiana, with team like Vanderbilt, where you can be very different in this new era with NIL support, and they are really good. This was big for Bama to get this win. It doesn't get much easier to go on the road to Missouri this week, and that's a team that runs for over nearly 300 yards a game. So they'll have their hands full on the road this one, and an 11 o'clock kick there in Columbia, Missouri, which will be tough against a top 15 opponent. So this is a very tough stretch for Alabama. This, I think, was proof that they have matured as a program, given how they performed against Vandy compared to how they performed last year. But it doesn't get any easier as the challenges still lie ahead.
Heisman race is wide open. You got somebody?
Has there ever been one that's this wide open, by the way, through 7 weeks?
But I thought that coming in that it felt wide open, just because last year wasn't wide open.
Right.
I think Arch, people thought that, this foregone conclusion, Texas will be good, he'll be good, they'll play for a national title, and you win the Heisman in the process. Well, that hasn't gone as scripted. So who do you have?
Well, right now, I think the biggest Heisman moment of the season could come this weekend. And that's between two guys that are among the front runners, with Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, who's playing lights out football through the first 5 games of the year. But this will be by far the biggest stage he's playing on. It'll be a nationally consumable audience. Yes, it's up against Red River rivalry at the same time, but for the most part, man, everyone's curious what he's going to do now on the road against a really good Oregon football team. And then Oregon's quarterback, Dante Moore. And those two guys are going head to head. I feel like I'm watching the program, and it's, Joe Kane against Tim Wayman. I mean, it's all about the quarterbacks in this game for whatever reason, right? I know you love that drop for sure. But to me, it's kind of interesting. That one, those two, I think, are right there. I think Ty Simpson is ascending. But big opportunities lie ahead for Ty Simpson to kind of have that Heisman moment, whether it's against LSU, perhaps it's against Oklahoma, when John Mateer, who's also in that mix, even though he's hurt right now, if they play there in mid-November, that could be big. Of course, the SEC championship game, if they get there, is big. And then I'll throw a little dark horse at you. Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss. This kid is the real deal, man. I mean, I am a believer. I really am. I think he's that good. And he was a D2 player last year at Ferris State. No one really knew who he was, but I remember doing their game week 2, and Lane Kiffin, Sean McDonough asked Lane, "Hey, Lane, what else do we need to know about your team?" And he goes, "Yeah, just so you know, my backup quarterback, if he goes in the game, this guy's going to cause a lot of problems." And sure enough, he goes in these last few weeks, and he's been unstoppable. And against quality competition, too, LSU's no joke on defense.
What's North Carolina going to have to do? Big picture here. And I know it's early. You got to have patience. They brought in all of these transfers, which I said, to be fair to Belichick, give him a month, and then maybe you're going to find out if this team is any good. But then when one of his guys on his staff, Mike Lombardi, said, we're going to focus on freshmen next year. Well, that means you got to have even more patience if you're going to be focusing on recruits next year. How long do you know if North Carolina is any good?
No, I don't think they're very good. I do think last week was not necessarily the best indicator of what's going on in the future, because Clemson, while they've struggled in the first 4 weeks of the season, it was a kind of a get right opportunity for them. Like, I just had a feeling that game was going to go that way. Like, Clemson was due, and North Carolina's got a whole host of issues. Now, they've had some injuries, so you could point to that. But the big problem is that when you look at what Bill Belichick has done traditionally, and what he does well is take away teams' top tendencies. And they haven't really done that very well. And part of that is a lack of talent, and it's going to take some time. So I don't think he's in jeopardy of losing his job or anything like that. I think that's way too premature. I mean, he's 4 or 5 games into his tenure as a college coach. But I also think at some point you have to show some progress, because the recruits that you're recruiting are also being actively recruited by other teams. And if you can show the recruits, hey, there's some doubt with North Carolina, then they're going to be more open to listening to overtures from other programs, even though they're currently committed to the Tar Heels. So I think as long as recruiting's good, they're in good shape. But how long will recruiting be good if things spin off the rails?
How many scholarship offers did you get?
I don't remember exactly, but probably like 30, 35 in that vicinity. All the smart schools, Dan. That was all I had. All the smart schools, like Alabama and some others. You know what I mean?
Okay. Did Saban come to the house?
Saban wasn't there, actually. He got there the following year. So I got recruited by Mike Shula, son of Don and current offensive coordinator of the South Carolina Gamecocks. So that was who recruited me. And him and a guy named Bob Connolly came to the house and made the offer, and I committed pretty quickly. My parents didn't even know I was going there, but thought it was a good decision. It ended up working out pretty good.
If not Alabama, where would you have gone?
It's kind of a tough call. I probably would have ended up at either North Carolina, but kind of my final groups were North Carolina, Ole Miss, Alabama. I was committed to Texas Tech for a bit. Probably wasn't going to end up there because they had taken another guy as well. And then late to the party were some teams that were coming in, like USC was really good at that point. They were late to the party. So a little different era back then, where you get offered your senior year as opposed to like in 7th grade. So it's changed a lot.
Did you back up Chase Daniel in high school?
I did.
Okay, we just had him on last hour.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah,
he
two
opened for
South
you
Lake Carroll
this time.
Dragons. I
Yeah.
should have put the dragon helmet out here and see who would have had more stars on the side of the helmet, like Buckeye stickers. I think Chase probably had a few more than I did.
Great to catch up with you. Have fun with Georgia and Auburn coming up this weekend. Thank you.
Always great to be with you, buddy. See you soon.
That's Greg McElroy, the Always College Football Podcast, and he's, of course, got the game coming up Saturday night on ABC, Auburn and Georgia. Yeah, Paul?